everyone, this is David Stark from WatcherPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today I'm joined by the two Andrews, Andrew Gibson, the director, producer, and co-writer, and Andrew Yackel, the star who plays Bug of the all-new film Gutterbug. It's an indie drama that deals with homelessness, mental illness, and the folly of youth. It's available digitally through Evolutionary Films UK, and it has a 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating, both viewer and critic. It's a wonderful gem of a movie, and I can't wait to talk about it. But first, let's check out that trailer.
Society will strangle you if you let it. I'd been suffocating for too long, and finally I could breathe. It was freedom at first. We were rebels. Outlaws even.
Just squeeze.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me. We have Andrew Gibson, who's the director, the co-writer, and the producer, and Andrew Yackel, who's the star who plays Bug of Gutterbug. It's an indie gem. It's a fantastic film that kind of deals with teen angst, freedom, mental health issues, homelessness. It kind of has a lot of tough issues that are kind of packaged in this really tough to say, entertaining, but also very dramatic film. So thank you so much for joining me. I guess the film came out in America in August, and I believe it came out in the UK in September. And I believe there were digital releases, although it sounds like there's been drive-ins, and maybe now that theaters are open, it's screened in some places. But how has it been promoting this film during the pandemic, which kind of seems like maybe it's tailing off, but maybe it's coming back. It changes every day. So how has that been?
It's been a little weird. I think at first we were a little bit nervous about it. Like, we had been promoting it pretty hard last year, doing the festivals and everything, and it was really fun. It was really exciting, and then we kind of took some time off, and we're kind of working on the distribution and the release, and then the pandemic happened. So it felt a little weird to be, promoting something during, such tough times. And also, with all the Black Lives Matter stuff happening and the election and all this craziness in the world, it did feel a little weird, trying to promote our thing. But once we kind of got past that and we came up with a game plan and we just, went after it as hard as we could with the marketing and the promotion, and we started to get a good response, and people were, hitting us up saying that they loved it and they really enjoyed it, and it like brought some joy or some excitement into their life. You know what I mean? Like, that's when I was like, oh, this is actually like, people are enjoying this, and it's giving them like, a break from all the craziness. So once that started to happen, we just leaned into it and pushed it as hard as we could. And I think it's been a really, really positive response.
Yeah, no, that's been, when everything kind of happened and the lockdown happened, I was wondering if there would just be kind of a drought of new content, but it seems like a lot of companies and films have kind of pivoted to a digital release, and that's been, I think it's been positive for people. It's nice to get something new to watch. It's nice to kind of disengage from the news and the world for a few hours and see some other stories. So I think it's been generally pretty positive. I think a lot of people kind of like the flexibility of this new kind of world that we're living in. I guess we'll see what happens as everything opens up again, if everything opens up again.
Yeah, I guess the other thing too, that it's like, if we had released it to VOD, like not during a pandemic, I don't think as many people would have watched it in a way. Like, I think that during the pandemic, since there's nothing to do, I'm watching tons of stuff, multiple movies a week, and buying movies, I'm renting movies. Whereas like, I think before the pandemic, people were watching, less movies, and they were just using the streaming services. But I think people kind of were running out of stuff to watch. So, people were actually renting it and actually buying it because they had the time, and they wanted to watch something new. So I think it worked out because people actually had the time to check it out. Whereas like, I think if it's not during a pandemic, I think a lot less people are going to go out of their way to seek something out and buy it and rent it and such. So yeah, I think weirdly it's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, everyone's movie collection is going to have this kind of stagnant, this giant bubble in,
Yeah.
2020, and then just trail off again. So yeah, I think it has been, it's been a nice distraction for a lot of people, especially with so much going on. And you mentioned that the film has been well received. It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for both critics and viewers, which is astounding. I heard about the film and then checked out. I was like, how have I not heard about this yet? So, I guess, what has it been like kind of having this film that is so well received by everyone? And did you know that this was something special when you were making? I know all filmmakers and actors probably say that this is a special project, but was there something that caught your eye when you were creating this film that made you realize how good this was going to be?
There was definitely some magic on set for sure. I think the whole experience was really, really magical, and it definitely felt like we were doing something significant. The response has been great. Our goal was to get even more people to see it. Like it's been great, the amount of people that have seen it, but like you said that, you hadn't heard of it. Like we want, obviously we want as many people as we can, and we're hoping that it'll continue to snowball. I think we are such a small film, and it's, a very do-it-yourself kind of production and mentality. So like all the people that have been seeing and have been watching it is basically, from us putting it out there and promoting and stuff. So hopefully the word of mouth will start to snowball, and, being able to do stuff like this with you to help us spread the word is like really how these grassroots things happen. But yeah, it was definitely a magical experience on set. Andrew, I'm sure you had some interesting times, but I think overall it was probably a good vibe.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was fun. I think I was really excited when we were making it because Gibson had really grouped together a lot of really cool people that were all working hard and were all artistic and creative minded. Lee, our producer, and Tom, the cinematographer, and Tim and Haber, who did sound and producing, and all these other people and Chris, obviously, who wrote it, were all there on set all the time. And then different friends of Andrew had come in from other states to help out with it. And it was a lot of really cool people. So I'm glad that anyone's seen it, really.
And that is newly cleaned up Andrew Yackel. Can you put on a
you look
wig
good,
or something?
man.
Like get some facial hair. You look so different than the character in the movie.
Well, I still look a little dirty. I have like a mullet going on.
Dude, I got a mullet too. Look, Toph gave me a mullet during the pandemic.
Yours looks amazing. You look like a hockey player in the 80s.
So I just kept it going. Like we did, like we were just like super bored one night, and like we were just messing around, and Toph brought his clippers out and did the mullet, and I was like, fuck it. And I just kept it going. It's like, why not?
Yeah, I'm usually clean shaven, but this has all been with the pandemic. I figured, when am I going to have this opportunity to kind of see what it looks like?
Mm-hmm.
It looks good, man. What do you think? You're going to keep it around, or?
Well, we'll see what my wife says. I think I'm going to try. I'll see how long I can keep it going for.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you part of what made this so special was, your performance as Bug. It was so layered, right? You've got Bug as this, free youth, and Bug kind of taking various substances, and then you also have Bug as the narrator, who kind of has this kind of clear, deliberate tone. So, I guess what drew you to this film, and kind of how did you craft this character? Did you just do a lot of research beforehand, or how did you kind of get attached to this film?
I think it was really well written by Chris Tobin and Gibson, and so it was easy to kind of visualize what the movie was going to be like while I was reading it, and while I was studying the lines and researching. And I researched a little bit, like I researched stuff about bipolar disorder, because I think in earlier portions of the script or earlier versions of it, it was a little more pronounced that he has bipolar disorder, and got into that stuff more. So I researched that, researched a little bit of like homelessness and stuff, but didn't actually like go out and pretend to be homeless for a couple days.
Not method acting.
I think that would have been interesting, but it seems like at the end of the day, I knew I had someplace to go, and that would be something that you can't really fake while pretending to be homeless.
Yeah.
So I did all of that, and yeah, I think it was a really great script. I was able to kind of visualize like, oh, okay, Bug is gonna, get depressed at this point, and he's gonna go through a lot of highs and lows, and with the way that we shot it, the script was all over the place. It wasn't shot in continuity. Mm-hmm. So it was all over the place emotion wise almost every single day. So it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun and a very difficult project. I mean, Bug goes through kind of emotional changes in the same scene. He'll, kind of to your point of researching kind of bipolar and some of the highs and lows, he'll kind of, be chill, and then he'll, freak out if something happens, or maybe not even freak out, but just get angry. And it's such a quick transition that I can't imagine how you prepared for that. So, but I'm glad you did, because I really liked his character.
Thanks. I did too.
And, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your first feature film, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Andrew Gibson. Okay, all of that.
It was both of our. Well, actually, you had done a couple of features before, Andrew, right?
Yeah, some more indies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, what was it like, kind of taking on that project and kind of and making something so special? And did you learn anything from this that you might take to future projects, or was it just kind of one big roller coaster that somehow came together?
I mean, it was definitely a roller coaster. I mean, I learned a lot that I'm going to take moving forward. That would probably be a whole nother podcast about all the stuff that I learned. But I think that the approach, like, I had been doing music videos up to that point, and my cinematographer Tom had done a couple music videos with me. My producer Lee had been producing commercials. So going into it, we all had been working in film for a number of years, but hadn't tackled anything this big. So I think kind of the approach and the mindset was like, we're going to make a really long music video, or it's going to be like, 17-day music video shoot, instead of like that. I feel like that was kind of the scale and the approach that it was. So it was definitely grueling because of that. But I think that, like, man, all things considered, I think we were really well prepared and really well scheduled and everything. I think one of the things that was tough was like having to just wear a lot of hats, like having to call all my friends to come show up as extras for a scene, and then having to, go to the corner store to see if we could film there for free. And like just doing a lot of the other stuff other than directing was a little bit stressful, but we were all kind of ready to wear multiple hats and just like figure out a way to get things done.
Yeah, and I think, I actually just talked to another director that did, that came from music videos as well. I wonder if it's, part of it is just that ability to kind of compartmentalize a story into, some sort of high energy storytelling, because that's something I really liked about this, is that there was a lot of energy in music and kind of youth anger in a lot of the film that kind of, even though the film is of good length, it never felt boring. It kind of felt like there was always something happening. So I wonder if that's, a credit to your background.
I think totally. I mean, I think there's definitely, I think the way that it's edited was it kind of, from editing music videos and like keeping things fresh and like making sure that each scene was like really tight and moved really fast. And like, there's even moments built into the script that was like, I knew in my head we were going to shoot like a music video. Like when he's looking for a job, the job montage, like that was like kind of a music video in itself. And then when the crew is like doing spray painting and doing whippets, like in my head, that was a music video. When they're in the graveyard and there's like the cinematics stuff of them walking around, like that was a music video. So there was like 3 or 4 like music videos within it that I felt like were kind of designed that way. I mean, some of the dialogue and the scene blocking was definitely a challenge because I hadn't done a lot of that work before. Most times in music videos, you're not worrying about any dialogue or natural sound or continuity. So that stuff was definitely hard. And our cinematographer, Tom, luckily has done quite a few narrative projects with blocking and dialogue and stuff. So he was able to kind of like hold it down and make sure that we got all the stuff that we needed, all the right angles and everything, all the right coverage to make it work in the edit.
Awesome. And so Andrew, one thing I noticed, and this might just be how you are, but you were rail thin for this, which you kind of had to be. Like, how did you do that? Did you kind of come in underweight, or maybe Gibson didn't feed you throughout the entire shoot to kind of make you get in the character? It must have been such a commitment before to get into that mindset. I know you mentioned you did some research mentally, but like physically, how did you kind of prepare for this?
Yeah, I had I think I had about like 6 weeks from the time I got it to when I went out there to shoot it. So I'd already been like exercising pretty regularly at that point. So I just tried to exercise as much as I could and then eat as little as possible. So I don't know. Gibson has given me crap because he thinks my arms
I thought
are
he was too jacked. I thought he looked too jacked. But I guess it kind of added to some of the aggressive behavior and stuff, I mean, like.
Yeah.
You gotta pick up those heavy cans, carry them around. That must have been good workout.
Well, Gibson's mom at the premiere in LA came up to me and she said, "How did they make you look so muscular on camera?" And I was like, "They didn't. That wasn't a camera trick. Your son didn't do that. That was me.
That was all you.
It's all beef."
Yeah.
And so this film is mostly about Bug, but I think once the core group is introduced of Slim and Jenny, and then Raleigh to another extent, it kind of the film really gets going. So where did you all find them? Were they people that you'd worked before, either Andrew I guess where did this cast kind of develop?
We got Hannah, who played Jenny, and Justin, who played Slim, and Andrew, who played Bug, obviously. We got that core crew off of Backstage.com. Going into it, we had talked to some casting directors, and, once we started seeing what the rates were to hire them full-time, we were kind of like, okay, we can't afford this. We're going to have to do this ourselves. So we talked to enough of them to get enough advice and to do research of like ways that we could do this ourselves. And we found this website called Backstage Casting, which is, I've used multiple times since we made the movie. It's a great website, and we posted, all the stuff on there, and then we started getting submissions, and I'm pretty sure we got our top choices for like everybody. I mean, certainly the core three, Andrew, Hannah, and Justin were all our top choices. And then we even got the parents off that website. We got Eddie off that website.
Is there anyone you didn't get off the website?
A lot? No, I don't think so. All the extras and stuff and the smaller roles were just friends from the neighborhood, but like the core crew of actors was from that website.
We should mention this video is sponsored by Backdoor.com.
Backstage.com.
Backstage.com.
Backdoor.com might be something else.
There's definitely actors there.
You might not want Backdoor to sponsor the site.
And I guess the camaraderie that the core group has is really fun to watch. Was there anything that you all did, either Andrew, to kind of get that, or did it just kind of naturally develop because you all kind of were interested in this movie? And
I think we had a couple scripts reads beforehand, and then Justin and I got out there at least 3 days before we started filming. So I got to see him for a little bit, but other than that, it was just hanging out on set and shooting.
But the other thing I'll say too about, I think this is probably true with most indie sets, is like everybody was just kind of hanging out at my house, which was like the base camp. So, it wasn't like the actors were in trailers or in hotels and just coming in, doing their scene and leaving. Like everybody was, kind of more or less living together for, 15 days or so. So I think we got lucky that that they were able to hang out off screen, and they kind of had some chemistry off screen, and everyone, and the vibes were good. It's funny because as intense and sometimes like, dark of a movie as it is, the vibe on set was always like, really fun, and everyone was having a good time, I think. So, I mean, I think that helps because everybody was wanted to work hard for the project and put everything they had into it.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It sounds like a fun shoot and a good result. One thing I also loved is just the costumes.
Oh yeah.
They definitely looked dirty, but man, some of that gear was awesome, especially Jenny's American flag jacket.
Yeah.
Was that from any of y'all's personal collections, or did you have a costume designer? Did you go to like some thrift stores in the area just to kind of?
Yeah, we had an awesome costume designer. My friend Justin Palmerlow has this vintage store called Vivant Vintage, which is actually like right on the corner next to the bodega where a couple of the scenes take place. So I had been talking with him for a while about doing it, and once we got the funding to do it, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm on board." And he did the costuming for all the main characters. And it's funny, he found that American flag vest he was like at a flea market or something. He does like all kinds of flea markets and thrifting, and he found that and he sent me a photo of it. And I was like, I don't know, it might be like might be too much, and it was clean at the time. And he's like, "No, I'll dirty it up, I'll make it look gnarly, like trust me, it'll be iconic." And I was like, I mean, I totally trusted him. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And he got it and he dirtied it up and once he put it with the rest of her outfit, I was like, whoa, it is an iconic look,
Yeah, no, it definitely popped out to me. Yackel, do you have your gear still, or did that go back to the thrift store as heirlooms?
A bunch of it went back, and actually I messaged him like a month ago. And I was like, "Dude, do you have any of that? Because me, Justin, Hannah, we'd all love to get our costumes back." I have a shirt. I have the yellow shirt that I wore, and a hat, and a bandana, and I think that's it.
You know what the bummer about that is like all those costumes. We had all this shit in my basement, like all the props and costumes and everything. So like as soon as we wrapped, everything just went back in the basement. And then like, I took a week to like clear the basement out and return stuff. And I just like brought all the clothes and costumes just like back to the vintage store. And was like, "Thanks for letting us use this stuff. Here it is." And I feel like I could have just kept it. And he would have, he wouldn't have even noticed. And B, he would have been fine if he had noticed. And C, it's probably buried in, he's got like tons of clothes, probably buried in a storage container at this point. Like for some reason I was just like so jonesing to get everything back to people and get everything out of my basement so that we could like move on from the shoot. But I totally could have just kept all that stuff, and I wish I had.
Yeah, I definitely applaud your initiative and your ability to get things done. But I kind of wish you would have just held on to it. Had
Me
some
too,
like
man,
shadow boxes
honestly.
set up. With
Yeah, there was some cool shit.
Yeah,
Really cool shit.
So we kind of danced around it during this interview, and I usually start with this question, but it's in so many other ones. What inspired this film? It seems like a very personal kind of film. It's very emotional. Is this from some stories that you've heard, Gibson, or is this from just your own observations about the where you were living in Boston? I guess what was the core for this?
I think it was a little bit of both of those things. I mean, I had been living in that neighborhood, Alston, for a number of years, probably 2 or 3 years before we even started making the film. So it was an idea that I had been stewing with for a while, and I was making music videos and doing other stuff within film production, but really wanted to make a movie. But, there wasn't any pressure to make a movie, or there wasn't like any deadline to make a movie. So it was just something that I was just constantly like adding to. Like I had this character and was just constantly adding stuff. So if like I heard a story or like I saw something when I was out on the weekend at a show, or when I was just walking around town, I was just adding to like this notes document of like all this stuff. And then, there's obviously some personal stuff in there that I have been through, and there's some stuff that Chris has been through, and some of the voiceover, you know what I mean, is just kind of like things that we had both gone through or wanted to have in the film, experiences we've had or experiences that we've witnessed. And then, once we kind of had all the stuff we wanted to put into it, then we kind of like started structuring the script and seeing like where certain things could fit. And then on top of that, once we had that, just heightening everything to make it entertaining and dramatic, you know? So yeah, it was a lot of everything. And it's like, now that we're kind of working on other stuff, when there's like a more urgency to make a movie and what's it going to be and who's going to watch it and what's the audience. Now it's like all that, you know, this one just happened so organically, which is what I love about it. It feels very, at the time and still now looking back on it, it feels like it was very organic and very, you know, personal in a lot of ways. And I think we just were doing it for all the right reasons. And I think that shows on screen, you know.
And so as the director and also the co-writer, you know, when you've got this core group of really just fantastic actors that all have similar interests, you know, how much leeway do you give them? And Yackel, you can jump in if you want to talk about his authoritarian rule over the script or his laissez-faire view. You know, how much leeway do you give them to improvise your lines, or kind of just let the dialogue flow as they kind of thought it would?
It's I think a good amount, but I think we didn't have a lot of time. So like, I mean, that's one thing certainly I learned is the next thing I do, I would definitely want to have more time, which, you know, you always want more time, but I really wish we had a little bit more time. But since we didn't have time, like we would show up to a location and we had like 2 hours to shoot a scene, like we didn't really have too much time to improv. And like, we kind of knew we needed Chris was on set as the script supervisor as well, who wrote the script. So I think we were pretty much making sure that we got all the dialogue that we needed. But having said that, I feel like all the performances felt I think they were all really in tune with the script. So I don't know. I feel like we stayed pretty tight to the script, but.
Yeah. And I would definitely agree with you that time was the biggest thing. So that there wasn't a lot of ability to do whatever we wanted, or for Gibson to get whatever, you know, whatever he could have wanted out of the scene. Like, he didn't have time to go through all that, and neither did I. So there were some times where I was like, can we do one more? Can we do one more? Are we going to get another one? There's like this pause sometimes after takes of like, oh, is that the last one? Or are we going to get another one?
Right.
Are we gonna?
Right.
And a lot of times he did let me do just what was in my head or what I was trying to do most of the time. When he gave me like specific direction, I usually liked it, because if I'm just doing whatever I think of, I'm just going to go all over the place. So it was nice to get told, no, just do it that way, or no, stick to the script, don't improvise there, or, you know, this is what I want for it, let's change it from what you were doing. So it was always good direction, you know.
I guess now that I think about it, there are some scenes like when he's begging for change and the cars are coming by and there's like the jump cuts, like that was improv. And then when he's on the bridge, like asking for cigarettes, like, you know, that stuff was improv-y. So I guess there was some improv-y stuff. And I think, you know, obviously I was super nervous going into it. But as soon as the first day we did all the street stuff, and literally, like, I think after the first shot we did of Bug going down the alley collecting bottles, I was like, oh, we're all set. Like he's doing exactly, like, this is exactly what we had imagined, or even better than we had imagined. So after the first shot, even especially after the first day, there wasn't really much to do or say, as opposed to just kind of what Andrew was saying of like just certain things, just okay, let's just get this and then let's move on or whatever. So yeah, he was very well prepared, and we kind of knew right away that we were both on the same page of who Bug was and what Bug would be like, you know.
I feel like I hear that from every indie film I interview, is wish they had more time and money. That's just, you know,
yeah, for sure.
it's part of the constraints, but also it's part of the magic. I mean, you get this fun kind of tight performance, and you get this coherent story that you don't have to worry too much about any of the extraneous stuff.
Yeah.
So, this is for Yackel. You know, your character is so kind of emotional and in your head. You know, after filming was cut, were you able to like kind of let him go, or did he stick with you for a while?
Yeah, I definitely thought about it for a while. And actually, the nose ring, the septum ring in the movie I had was fake. Like we were just, I think that was like the first day someone gave me them, like right before we went out to shoot that morning. And Gibson was like, "Oh yeah, I like that. I like that." So when I got back from Boston shooting it, I started thinking about that. I was like, man, I'd like to get my actual nose ring pierced.
There you
And
go.
I finally was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna keep thinking about it until I do it. So I went out and did it.
I want you to start getting some sort of body modification for each film that you're in. So eventually you'll just be this museum of your life.
Yeah, at least the good ones anyway.
Well, they're all good,
True.
right?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that.
And then, it seems like you both have backgrounds in creative areas. Gibson, obviously, with music videos, and Yackel, you mentioned that you're a creative person. This film had such fantastic music. Where did it come from? Is it were they bands that you wanted to highlight, or did you just kind of know what kind of energy you wanted to have in those scenes? I think at the first scene there's just a really fantastic either show or just soundtrack over it that really kind of got me into the film. So where did that come from?
Yeah, pretty much all the bands are Boston bands that I had either seen. Well, I had seen all of them. I listened to all of them. Some of them are really close friends. I mean, the band Nice Guys that is in it, like in the scene where Bug meets Jenny. That was my favorite band at the time, and I had made. It's still one of my favorite bands, and I had made a couple music videos with them. They all lived in the neighborhood. They used to live in that house that we shot it at. So I think that their music was kind of always going to be like the core soundtrack, and then we kind of built around that. And some of the other bands, Black Beach, Beef, Cult Fiction, Pink Suds, Sarah Greenwell, Gorilla Toss, all those bands were bands that I had seen in Boston, and really liked them all. So it was definitely a pleasure to be able to have their music in the film. And then the cherry on top at the end was the Modest Mouse song, which is a band that Chris and I have always loved. And when we were writing the script, we were listening to that album in particular, their first few albums, like all day when we would be writing, we would just have their albums going. So to be able to use that song Broke at the end, we had it in the script, and to be able to have it at the end was pretty special.
That is awesome. That's a great kind of little cherry for the film.
Yeah.
And so Yackel, you mentioned you now have a nose ring for Bug. Are you also still yoked from all that prep? Have you kept that up in the pandemic?
No, I gotta get back in shape.
I think we all are saying that right now, but
Yeah.
So I'm going to transition to lightning round questions. They're just, like I said, just short, lightweight questions. You can choose to answer or not if you want. Like, I won't be offended if you don't answer one. And they're just all kind of like observations about characters in the movie, and kind of see how you personally relate to the characters. So the first question is, what's the best band performance music show you've been to?
Of all time?
I mean, first one that comes to mind, all time. It's up to you.
Oh man.
I saw King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard recently. That was pretty awesome.
Like recently during pandemic style, or before?
No, like 6 months or so before they came through Atlanta. So
Very awesome.
That's tough. I think I would say one experience that really shaped my perception on music and art and the blend of the two, and made me in tune with what's happening now. I think growing up I was really into classic rock and that stuff in the 70s and 80s, and then when I was 18 I went to Bonnaroo Music Festival. Me and my friends hopped in a van and drove 26 hours to Tennessee after just graduating high school, and I saw so much music that was like current and it was happening now, and I was like, oh, like there's people making music now that's awesome. It's not just like people stopped in the 70s. So, and that's kind of what propelled me into what's happening now, and that's why I wanted to make a movie about like rock and roll and stuff that's happening like right now. So I would say that Bonnaroo 2008 is my answer.
Gibson, I really thought you were gonna say like a live concert video of the Dead was your favorite concert.
Well, I was thinking about the Dead VHS I have from Alpine Valley, 1989. I didn't want to bore anyone.
After your revelation about music, now you just went home and threw out all your vinyl. You're like, I don't need this anymore, right? That's
I still have the vinyl. I still got the vinyl. I still have my cassette tapes. I still like the old stuff, but I also love the new stuff too.
Mine would be I saw Tool in I think
Whoa.
98 maybe. It was at like was it I think the Wilton Theater in LA. It was like a small
Wow.
performance, and it was just really cool to kind of be in that scenario. And Tool always puts on like a visually and auditorily stimulating show.
Mm.
Very cool.
So I guess, have you ever slept in your car or on the sidewalk, essentially not in a traditional home and or bed type situation?
I've slept on in cars, and I've slept on many floors and many gnarly situations when I was touring in a punk band for a couple years. Definitely slept in some cars and some vans and on some floors, but it wasn't the same as like being homeless or being a vagabond or a train hopper, where like you don't have anywhere. Like we would be like play a show, and we'd be like, oh, we could stay at this gnarly place, or we could sleep in the van for a couple hours and then go to the next spot. So it was not on the level of Gutterbug, but yeah, I've definitely slept in a few cars before.
Yeah, me neither. Cars maybe, floor once or twice.
Well, you did.
Bathroom once maybe.
No bridges, not under any bridges yet, though. At least.
Well, you didn't method act, Yackel, so that sounds like you could have had that experience.
Wow.
Have you ever run away from home?
No.
No.
Have you ever woken up in the hospital? You don't have to tell the story if you don't want to, or you can choose not to answer.
Well, not really in the way that it is in relation to Gutterbug. No.
No.
Did you or do you have a nickname?
Yeah, mine's Gibbs. Usually Gibbs or Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs or Gibson.
Yeah. Yackel.
All right, very
Bug.
simple. Yeah, Bug. You go by Bug now.
Yeah.
Have you ever collected cans or other recyclables for money?
Yes.
Yeah. Not on the level of Gutterbug, but around the time that I was thinking of the idea for it, I was super broke, and I was like actively collecting the cans around our house and stuff, and like recycling them and bringing them to the liquor store to get money, and then like using that money to like get a hamburger at McDonald's. So it was like on a smaller scale of Gutterbug, but I was actually collecting bottles and bringing them and like getting money from them. So that was like early on some of the inspiration of like, man, imagine if like things went really south for a couple weeks and I actually was like having to do this to like support myself fully. So
yeah, that sounds like exactly like some of the scenes in the film. So that's an interesting personal experience, and unfortunate that you went through it, but also it sounds like it did inform your film. So
yeah, totally.
All right. What is the craziest thing you have done with a friend?
I'm gonna not say that story, I think.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, that's fine. I wasn't sure if that was going to be answered. In the film, Bug does get a part-time job. What was your all's first part-time job?
Working as a dishwasher at my good friend Tyler Loring's dad's restaurant, seafood.
Whoa!
Restaurant. Yeah.
I didn't know it was at his restaurant. That's funny.
Yeah, his dad's restaurant in high school, Joe's Boathouse. I used to wash dishes there. I think I probably got paid cash under the table. It's probably like 15 or 16.
I worked at a deli. That I just did a bunch of everything: clean, make sandwiches, make ice cream, all that kind of crap.
Perfect. This kind of goes back to the music question. It sounds like Gibson, you said you were touring in a punk band. So the question is, have you ever played a live show like they did in the film? It sounds like you have.
I played a bunch. Yeah, and it's funny that the venue that we shot the scene in at O'Brien's. Me and Chris, the co-writer, and one of our other friends, Jimmy, played one show as a band called Gutterbugs.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, we had the script already done as Gutterbug, and then we were playing with this group of guys, and we were calling ourselves the Gutterbugs, and we actually only played one show, and it was at O'Brien's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have the audio from that? Did you save it?
There's a video of it on YouTube, actually.
There you
I don't
go.
know if I should announce that, but there is a video of it on YouTube. Our first and only show as Gutterbugs.
That should be like a special feature on the disc or something. Some of the
Yeah.
inspiration. Yackel, have you?
Yeah,
Played?
I played a lot in college in bands.
Awesome. Were either of you ever booed off stage?
No.
No,
You have to think about that one.
I had to think. No one booed. I just left.
Have you ever bathed in a river?
No.
Yeah.
All right. And what does your childhood room look like?
Now or when I was a child?
Oh, let's go with both.
I think it looks a lot the same.
All right.
The same as it did when you were a child.
Yeah.
My childhood room doesn't exist, but when I was a child, it was definitely like covered with posters. I remember it covering my whole room with posters and stuff.
Bands, sports, cars, somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between, yeah. I remember a lot of like classic rock stuff, like Pink Floyd, Bob Dylan, like Led Zeppelin, like all this, like basically all the posters that you could like the front posters at like Spencer's or like allposters.com, classic rock category, like the really like the Dark Side of the Moon, with just like the album cover, like horizontal, like yeah, all the like the stereotype, like the classic rock starter pack, poster pack is what I had.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yackel, do you want to elaborate on your room, or are you happy?
Oh,
with
my
you guys
room.
or-
Well, my room I shared with my younger brother, so it was. I don't know. My mom decorated my room. I never was like given like, oh yeah, you can go paint your room. Like it had wallpaper. It's like I think it's like a sailing theme. not like sailboats everywhere, but it's like light
Nautical.
blues and like
Yeah.
yeah.
I was hoping you were gonna say your mom was like a old classic rocker, so it just had same thing,
No.
the 80s starter pack.
Guitar
My
wallpaper.
mom was a lighthouse keeper. So
Oh, that's awesome.
no, I'm just joking.
I
Who
was gonna
knows?
say I didn't know that.
How did you all celebrate your last birthday?
Mine was during the pandemic, so I didn't do a whole lot really for it. I think I think I probably had a couple beers with my friends, my roommates, but nothing that memorable, honestly.
I don't remember either.
All right. And how did you celebrate your 21st birthday?
Got way too drunk.
Yep, same.
Terrible.
Perfect. Good classic stories.
Yeah.
And I guess this is not a lightning round question. This is more of a question about the film. But after you make a film about youthful excess and anger and some of the issues that can come up with that, what was the wrap party like? Did you all just go to like a nice quiet restaurant and drink
It wasn't
iced tea?
crazy.
Okay.
It could have been. It's you're right. It wasn't crazy. It could have been crazy, and I wish it was crazy because it was at our favorite bar, the Bus Stop Pub in Alston, which has since been bought and closed down by Harvard. But it was our favorite bar. I think that everyone was just so wiped because we had just worked like overnight. We shot the prison scene like overnight, and like we're up to like 4 a.m. Then we had the wrap party the next night. I think, and it was like the end of like 18 days in a row. So I think that everyone was so wiped that it was just like kind of a mellow vibe. We definitely ordered some pizza. I wish it was a little rowdy. I think everyone was just blazing. I think everyone was smoking weed out back, so the whole vibe was just like very mellow. I wish that it had turned up a little more, but who knows? Maybe the 5-year anniversary we'll have a banger.
Everyone was smoking legal weed because it was legal, I assume.
Yeah.
Was it at
Yeah,
the
probably.
time though? I mean, that was like 3 years ago, 2017.
No, it's outside the
It
statute.
might not have been, but it certainly
Statute of
is.
limitations has run out either way.
Yeah, true.
Awesome. Well, that sounds. I mean, I can totally see that. You're drained from just working like crazy because, as you said, you didn't have time and money to do it. So I could just see everyone just wanting to go home and get some sleep and kind of not be in those characters anymore.
Yeah.
Take a bath, maybe.
We called it pretty early. I feel like everyone was probably out of there pretty
Yeah.
early. Wasn't too late. Although on the premiere we had a late night, the day of the premiere, the night of the premiere.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to a bar afterwards, and then we went to a hotel, and like we were up late.
And in LA.
And in LA, we had fun at the premiere too. So yeah, we were able to get our celebrations on after the couple years after we had shot it. So
That's probably the better situation too, because then you see what the final movie's like and kind of how it's received. Then you can really
Yeah.
celebrate.
yeah, it was fun. It was really
Was
fun.
the premiere in Boston?
Yeah, we had the premiere at the Independent Film Festival of Boston,
Nice.
which was like a dream come true. It was like the perfect place to premiere it. So it was awesome. Yeah, we screened it 2 nights, back-to-back nights, and a bunch of our friends and family came out, and it was awesome.
All right, so the film is out. It's as you mentioned, it's getting a lot of popular buzz. It's doing fantastic on the ratings at least, and hopefully more people see it. But what what is next for you all? Is there another film on the horizon? Is there some other projects?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, we definitely have some other projects and other ideas we've been working on. We ended up getting we ended up kind of putting most stuff on the back burner for a while to just focus on the Gutterbug release and make sure that it got the proper release and marketing and promotion that it deserved. And everybody worked so hard on it, so we really wanted to. We just felt like we owed it to ourselves and everybody to put all we had into the marketing and promotion. So that's kind of been our focus the last few months. But I think, maybe towards the end of this year, in a month or so, or maybe we'll just wait until next year to really to be able to like actually switch gears and move on to something else. But this whole process has been a lot of time. So we've kind of just decided to focus on this. But we definitely want to make more movies for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I want to make more of anything, but just there's slowly been there's started to be a couple auditions lately,
Nice.
so we'll see.
They're
Are they Zoom
starting to
based,
shoot
or-
again in Atlanta.
Yeah, and in other places, yeah,
Mhm.
people are starting to.
That's good.
That's fantastic news. Yeah, hopefully it kind of picks up, because I'm very excited to see what else is coming from y'all. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you both mentioned that things might be starting to open up, and maybe we'll see some more projects from you both, because as I said in the review and here multiple times, I really love this film. It felt just like this high energy gem that kind of grabbed you from the start and just kind of pulled you along on this journey. And so I hope that more people see it. I hope that you make more projects. I'm really looking forward to whatever comes next from y'all.
Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time with us and helping us spread the word, man. This really helps a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining me. The film is Gutterbug. It's available digitally. Things are starting to open up, but maybe you want to stay home and just watch it at home, or watch it a couple times. You can rent it,
Yeah,
buy
go
it.
buy it a couple times. Buy it a couple times this weekend.
And then after you watch it, you can watch the behind the scenes
Yeah, go watch the behind the
Documentary.
scenes documentary on YouTube.
made by Tyler Loring, who was
It
Gibson's
might be better
friend
than the movie.
down.
It might be better than the movie, honestly. Some people.
And
have
then
said
there's
that they
also a
like it better
blooper
than the
reel.
movie. Yeah,
So
there's a blooper reel.
I did not know of either of these things, so I will definitely watch the behind
You
the
should
scenes.
watch the
and
behind the
definitely
scenes
blooper reel.
video. It's insane.
yeah,
Very cool.
Well, there you go. You can have a Gutterbug weekend, and leave with a little bit of a smile and maybe a little bit of sadness too, because the film is intense, but it is a fantastic movie. So
Cool.
awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and
Right on, guys.
thanks, man.
Take it easy.
That was Andrew Gibson and Andrew Yackel from Gutterbug, the all-new indie drama from Evolutionary Films UK. It's available digitally, so you can watch it at home and rent it and watch it a few times if you want. It also has a 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating, so it's one of those few movies that I'm pretty sure you're going to like. If you liked this interview, please feel free to like and subscribe to this video channel. It helps us out a lot, and make sure that all of our new videos will go straight to you. And as always, please go to watcherpass.com for all your movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Thank you.